Hi, I am Life Coach Latricia Booker with Kingdom Business, where we are empowered, where we heal, get delivered, and get free. Where we know who we are. We elevate our minds and our spirits and raise and expand our consciousness to ultimately walk into our true divine purpose. That is the truth of who God created us to be. And so in today's video, I want to talk about how you need the darkness to come into your light. You need the darkness to brighten your light. And so, as we know, being in a dark place or being in a dark space is very painful. And many times it causes a lot of suffering. It can feel like a torturous place. And so many people don't like to experience darkness. However, we find that darkness is a part of life. Now, we would like to avoid darkness because it doesn't feel good, kind of like pain. Because when you're in pain, when you're hurting, when you're going through something that's very tough to go through, you feel like you're in a dark place. Many times we may have lost a loved one, we may have gotten divorced, maybe lost a friendship, lost a job, or just be in a place where we're hurting from some traumatic experience or experiences that we've had. It can be something that comes up from the past that continues to resurface, something that triggers us. It could be anything. So it's so many things in life that comes up and are there that can cause you to be in a dark place. So again, it doesn't feel good to be in a dark place. It's not good to be in darkness at all. However, darkness or being in a dark place does serve its purpose. Some will call it the dark night of the soul, which means that your soul is put to some things, is going through things in an effort to transform you. It's a thing where this is what your soul calls for. It calls it forth. Because our souls always know what we need. And so it's just up to us to allow whatever experiences that are coming forth, for us to allow them to do what it is that it's supposed to do within us. And so it's kind of like how some would say the law of attraction. Our soul attracts certain experiences to us because our soul knows what we need to transform. Now, the thing is, sometimes people don't recognize that, or they don't cooperate and participate with that. And so what happens, because we resist the pain, we resist change, not we, but many people do, because they don't like going through certain things. They don't like the pain, the discomfort. And so many times we avoid what shows up in our lives that's there, that our soul attracted to give us the lessons we need, to awaken us, to transform us, what we need. And so when we don't cooperate with it, we keep getting the same thing. These same things keep showing up because our soul has called it forth to do the work in us that needs to be done to get us more into our higher selves. And so, again, many times these are just dark places. And so people tend to avoid them. But these dark places are necessary because, again, it promotes our growth and it transforms us into who God created us to be. And so, so many a times the darkness is there because we need it. We have lessons to learn. And so what happens is, as you let these processes take place, as you allow the transformations to take place, your light becomes brighter. You come more into the light. What happens? We awaken more. We evolve. We grow. And the more you grow, the more you learn, the more you ascend. Ascending is just going up higher and higher spiritually. Some would call it looking like Christ, having the Christ consciousness, which means we raise and expand our consciousness and are elevating our minds and spirits to align with Christ, the mind of Christ, and who God is, who Jesus Christ is. And so the more we allow this darkness or the dark places that we are in or that we experience that we perceive as darkness or dark places, the more we are open to it and allow it to do the work that is there to do, the brighter our light shine, the more we come into our light. So the more we come into our light, the brighter our light shines. And so what's happening is you're being transformed more and more into the image of God, how He created you to be. You're being transformed more and more into the image of Christ, of Jesus Christ. And so, again, when these things come in your life, it's because your soul attracted it. You attracted it. So when you learn the lessons or get from it what you're supposed to get and allow it to transform you, you don't have to continue to go through the same thing. You go to your next thing. So if you happen to be experiencing something over and over, not always, but many a times, there's a lesson to learn there. Sometimes it's something that you learn and you're trained through it. It's like training because you're going to experience things on different levels in the same way. So because you trained for that, it's just like going through a class to train to be a welder or to train to be a nurse. When you go through your training, you do some hands-on experience, hands-on things for you to learn, to help you to know what you're doing. So when you go and experience those things in a real world or in a different level, in a different way, you already got this because you've been trained here. So, again, when you allow what's there to teach you what you need to be taught and allow it to transform you, you will be prepared for whatever it is you need to face going forward because you've allowed the transformation, the growth, the evolution to take place. You allow your mind to be renewed, and that has a lot to do with it too. And so the darkness has its place. It has its place. When you're going through it and you're in a very dark place, the best thing to do is to know that it has a purpose. And if you're not sure what it is, ask God. He'll tell you. Many a times, for me and from my personal experience, He have told me. Maybe not to the extent to what it overall what it is, but He usually let you know that it's for a purpose. And if you're not sure what you need to learn from it, ask. And then on purpose, let it work itself out. You have to proactively participate with the work that is being done in you. Once you know what's happening and what it's designed to do, what lessons you need to learn here, how you need to maybe grow, come up higher, mature, because that's many a times that's a lot of what we experience. We just need to mature. Many times we need to let go of certain things and take on a new thing. Let go of the old mind, take on the new mind. Let go of the old habits, take on the new habits. Let go of insecurities, take on security. Let go of low self-esteem, take on the truth of who you are. See? Because when you're in low self-esteem, that means you're not in the truth of who you are. You don't know who you are. Because when you know who you are, you don't have low self-esteem. Now, you may still have to work through some insecurities, but knowing who you are will help you to do that because you're sure about who you are. So it's easier to work through. Not easier, but you kind of have an advantage. And I say not easier because that's still work. And it's not easy. And you're usually it's kind of like a dark place. And when I say a dark place, I mean from a place of it doesn't feel good. Transformation doesn't feel good. So I just want to clarify too, the difference between being in darkness and what I'm speaking of in this kind of darkness. Not in darkness where you don't know God, or you don't know who you are, or you in the wrong on the wrong road. Even though that can happen too. If that's the case, and you at some point come to terms with, okay, I need to let this work for me. I attracted this to me. This is here to teach me something. You can come out of darkness and into light. But I'm more so speaking on when you're in a dark place, when you're in a painful place, when you're in a place where you're being transformed and it doesn't feel good. And so, from my personal experience, I've gone through some things where I've been in a challenging place. I'll call it challenging. Being transformed, being crushed, and I was very well aware that that's what was happening because God was making me aware, and it didn't feel good. It was very painful. I was doing a lot of healing. I was doing a lot of transforming. I was working through some insecurities, and it didn't feel good. And people would say things to me. I've had quite a few people say to me, "You're so bright. You're shining. You're glowing." And I would know what I was going through. And I would ask God, like, how is that so with what I'm feeling? And God said, they don't see what you're going through. They see the results. So, again, when you're in a dark place, if we'll call it that, or you're going through a transformation, healing, which can be sometimes painful, the result is your light is getting brighter. You're coming more and more into the light. And so it's showing on the outside. Regardless of what you're feeling on the inside, the work, the results are showing itself on the outside. It's like the inside out. We know we have to do the inner work, and it shows itself externally. Many people look at us from the outside and see what they see, and they want what they see, not understanding internal work is being done. But they can't see that part. Only you feel that and experience and know that. So just be encouraged that if you're in a dark place or you experience some kind of something that feels dark, again, it has been called the dark night of the soul. Notice of the soul, because it's taking you through a dark, your soul is literally taking you through a dark place on purpose to get you to a brighter place, to get you into more of the truth of who you really are, who God created you to be. And I say more because you can already be that, but we always going higher and higher and higher and higher. We continuously are maturing and ascending and evolving and growing. If you are going from higher heights and from glory to glory, it's a continuous thing. And so we may have to go through some dark places. Now, what happens is sometimes when you really work through the thick of the work, and you might break some ground, you get some good breakthrough, you won't have to go through those dark places in that same way anymore at some point. Things may come up and things may have to be worked through, but it won't be the same simply because you're at a higher place. So you will not be working through those things from the place that you were before, because now you are a new person. Your light is brighter. Your light has come. So everything gets, guess what? Lighter for you. It gets lighter for you. So even if you do come across something that you need to work through, it's not as deep as the work that you had to before. Again, it could be something that you experienced traumatized, that could be traumatizing, or it could be a big hit or a big blow. You know, we can lose somebody unexpectedly in death and some kind of accident, and that can be painful. Yet, as painful as it can be, we learned how to heal and work through things to the point to where even though it hurts, it won't take as much as it did before at this point, because we've grown, we've matured, We've evolved and we know how to, and it goes back to, we trained. That was training. So we know how to do these things. And what happens when you train and then you start working it and doing this thing in the real world? It gets easier for you because now you know this. You become an expert at what you do over and over again. What you're used to, so to speak. You're skilled at it. You know this. So what happens is when you go through those dark places and you have to do all that work and do all that healing and do all that resolving of issues and overcoming insecurities, all those things, you come to a place to where you are expert at this. So that dark place brought you into your light. And now you're an expert on how to get through darkness and get into your light. So you deal with things and work through things differently at a higher, more mature level than you used to. And it many a times it doesn't affect you. Certain things don't affect you the same as they would have at one point in time back then. Because you've done that work. You've overcome. You've removed triggers. You've removed the trauma. You're healed. You're whole. You're new. And again, even when some hard blows come, you're going to feel it and you know how to work through it real fast. It won't be no long, drawn out anything. And God gives you that grace. He's graced you to be able to do that. And again, you've done that work and you get that grace from doing that work as well. The more you do something and you get better at it and you improve and you evolve and mature in it, the more graceful you do it. It's like a beginner. When a child first learns how to walk, before, at first, they don't know how to walk. They keep falling down. They not sure themselves. They kind of wobbling. You have to hold your hand out to them to encourage them to come, to have guidance to come to you, to get them to walk. But after a while, they keep falling and getting up and trying again. What happens? They become an expert at walking. And they be walking for the rest of their life. Unless some kind of accident or something or illness happens where they can't. But they become an expert at that. Why? Because they practiced it over and over. They kept doing it. They kept going. Something that they didn't know how to do, they started doing and practicing it. And they were an amateur, but they not an amateur at some point. They're expert. They know what they're doing. They know how to do this. Now they can teach the next kid that don't know how to walk how to walk because they know how to do it. But the point is, working through your darkness brings you into your light. You just have to keep working at it. Even in some unpleasant experiences. Sometimes we be around people that are not so pleasant, and we have to go places that are not so pleasant. Not saying that everywhere you should go and everyone you should deal with, but sometimes things are just what it is. But we have to understand that it develops something in us if we do the right thing with it. If you do the right thing with it and let it transform you, you become an expert at not being moved by unpleasant situation or people. And I'm not saying that it's at first easy. Of course, you're going to get frustrated. You don't want to deal with this. You don't want to do it. But when God begins to show you or you become aware of why you're in it, let it work for you. Let that unpleasant or dark thing bring you into your light. Bring you more into your light. Take you up higher into God's light. The truth of who you really are. The truth of who you really are. Let your light so shine. Let your light shine. That they will see God's perfect work. See? And again, there's a story behind how you get to that perfect light that they see. And it involves going through the darkness, going through those dark places. You can't get to your light if you don't go walk through them dark places. So, just remember, those dark places serves its purpose. Be strong. Be diligent. Trust God. Know that it's on purpose and get to your brighter light. And so you all, I'm gonna wrap it up. That's what I wanted to do. That's what I want to do. I wanted to start over. Did you see that? But I'm gonna wrap it up. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please click on that red subscribe button and subscribe to my channel. Click on that bell right next to that red subscribe button so that you can get a notification every time I upload a new video. You can also connect with me on Facebook and Instagram at Latricia Booker, and on Twitter at Kingdom Business 9. That is Kingdom Business with one S and the number 9. And so you all, I am gonna go because that's my time. So guess what? I'm out. Peace. This thing don't want to let me out. But I'm out though. Peace.